Welcome on behalf of Creative Europe Desk UK. First things first, for those of you who don't know us very well, a few words of introduction and explanation who we are. So we too are a network, and we are based in several offices across the UK. Most of the team are with us in the room. If you want to raise your hand, make yourself known. And we are also part of a wider European family of just over 40 offices across the continent. So we do know about networks. Officially, Creative Europe Desk UK is a partnership led by the British Film Institute and British Council with Arts Council England, Creative Scotland and Welsh Government, and supported by the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport and the European Commission. Our role is to promote and facilitate the access to the European Union's funding programme for creative, cultural and audiovisual sectors in Europe and beyond. Running from 2014 to 2020 with a budget of 1.46 billion euros, Creative Europe supports European projects with the potential to travel, reach new audiences and share skills and best practice. It has two sub-programs, as you well know, a culture sub-program promoting the creative, heritage and cultural sectors, and the media sub-program supporting the development, distribution and promotion of audiovisual content. Today's event is following on from Collaborate, which we put together last year at the Rich Mix with Ruth Mackenzie delivering a keynote, followed by some good debates with speakers from the cultural and audiovisual world. When preparing the event last year, we were thinking, what is Creative Europe all about? If we were to sum it up in one word, what would that word be? And the answer was clear: collaboration. This is the essence of the program. So this year we decided to go a bit deeper and be more specific and focus on a particular way of collaborating, which is through networks. Networks are the lifeblood of Creative Europe, which supports them both formally and informally, which is why we're bringing you together to explore the stories and impacts of working in this particular way. Our program today will lift the lid on why and how we collaborate in networks in the broadest sense of the word, but many of the sessions will lean towards international networks, particularly those supported by Creative Europe. So why are networks so important? Well, they provide support in the face of big challenges. Imagine you're a small creative business which is a European independent cinema in a town far away from the capital, and you're dealing with disruptive technology changes, different business models facing you, and you're on your own. Or you are part of a 1,000-strong pan-European network of Europa cinemas, speaking with one voice that will be heard far better than if you're acting on your own. Networks help exchange know-how, ideas and skills. You could be up-and-coming choreographer working somewhere in Europe, finding solutions to your problems on your own or asking your peers, often in different countries. They might have found different solutions to different parts of the problems you're both facing. Networks help you to grow, innovate and take risks. You will hear in just a minute from our keynote speaker, Dawn Walton, talk about her work as part of the Eclipse Theatre in Sheffield, which has local networking built into its DNA, and it's now expanding into international networks with Creative Europe support. Networks make you more powerful than you could possibly be alone. They link professionals, companies, organizations, and even sectors. They give a platform for sharing our values and working towards social change. And indeed, social impact will be explored by our panelists later on this morning. So we're hoping to demonstrate through looking at different examples of networks at work that there is this connective tissue or a web of connections that enables synapses of creativity spark up here, there and everywhere and literally light up the landscape we are working in. This conference, as mentioned before, is taking place at an important time in the context of negotiations around the UK's future relationship with the EU. Participation in European programs such as Creative Europe, Erasmus or Horizon 2020 goes without saying for the EU member states. It is included in the bill, if you like. Non-EU countries can negotiate their participation with the European Commission, and they indeed do. Currently, there's over 40 countries participating in Creative Europe. In recent months, Creative Europe Desk has worked hand in hand with you in the sector, and we're very grateful for your cooperation, and with government to articulate the true value of the cooperation program such as Creative Europe to our creative sector. So first, there is a straightforward monetary argument. During its first 4 years, 74 million euros has been awarded to over 300 cultural and creative organizations. Examples I could quote are Hey Festival of Literature and Arts, Royal Opera House, and Creative Skill Set. Indeed, half of cooperation projects have UK partners in them. There's also audiovisual companies such as household names such as Aardman Animations, Curzon, or National Film and Television School. The programme also helped distribute 145 UK films in other European countries, from more obvious ones such as Paddington 2 to more independent fare by emerging talent such as Lady Macbeth and God's Own Country. In fact, in your bags you will find a report which lists all the results for 2017. And I'm really pleased to say that we haven't experienced any downturn in the applications since the referendum. On the contrary, there's been an increase in engagement from the organizations in the UK to work with their European partners. But this is so much more than the value of grants themselves. In July this year, for the first time, we also released an in-depth report on the impact of Creative Europe in the UK. It reveals new details about the programme's powerful effect on building international networks, growing audiences, generating jobs and skills, supporting social inclusion, and much more. So indeed, a lot is at stake. While the UK is preparing to leave, elsewhere in Europe, the process of designing the successor programme for the period 2021 to 2027 is just gaining momentum. In June, the European Commission has proposed to increase funding for the successor programme to Creative Europe by 27% to 1.85 billion euros. 1 billion will be spent on the new media programme, which will continue the support of development, distribution and promotion of European films, TV programmes and video games, and more money will be invested in the international promotion and distribution of European content and innovative storytelling, including new technologies such as virtual reality. An online directory of EU films will be created to reinforce the accessibility and visibility of European works. There will also be increased focus on networks. Just over 600 million will be allocated to the new culture programme, promoting Europe's cultural and creative sectors. Cooperation projects, networks and platforms will be set up to connect artists across Europe and make it easier for creators to work across borders. There will be increased focus on creative industries. Music, architecture, fashion and design will benefit. The new additions to the cross-sector strand will include promotion of a free, diverse and pluralistic media environment and support for qualitative journalism and media literacy, which is important in the fake news times. The new programme is currently going through different procedures at the European Commission and European Parliament with a view of being signed off by spring next year and ready to launch on 1st January 2021. The successor programme is open to EU countries. Non-EU countries, just like with the current programme, can also negotiate their participation with the European Commission. The future of the UK in successor programme will be decided in the course of UK-EU negotiations, and hopefully we'll hear more about it from our colleagues at DCMS after the break. A lot can happen between now and 2021, so let us focus on what we've got today. There's no doubt that our cultural links to continental Europe will remain strong and will survive the departure from the EU. As our Prime Minister has said on many occasions, we're leaving the EU, but we are not leaving Europe. However, the ways we support cultural relations with continental Europe will inevitably need to be redrawn as a result of Brexit, and it is important that we reflect on these relations and evaluate them today. So I hope you have an inspiring and productive day. This event is a very special occasion on having a room full of creative professionals from the UK and other European countries. So please use this as a chance to network yourself, and that way we will put Connect into practice. I don't believe anybody was voting to leave the EU on the cultural ticket. There were different issues at play, but culturally you cannot deny all those links, and I think they will definitely survive that storm, whichever way we turn out on the other side. We have been testing this concept, whether Europe indeed is that special place for us, or it's sort of, we got used to it. And all our analysis and work, both at British Film Institute, British Council, and at the desk itself, point rather to that direction, that it indeed is a special place with which we share the millennia of history and culture. So we just have to be really smart about this, and I think we have been trying to, in a very kind of cool-headed, controlled way, as much controlled as it can be, with big politics storming above our heads, quietly, just sort of walking towards some satisfactory, small, quiet outcome for culture. Because there's other bigger things that people get really into grand debates, like immigration, right? We're culture. We're not we're smaller, but this could be turned to our advantage. That quietly, under the radar of big politics, perhaps we can turn out on the other side unscathed or fairly unscathed. So that's the plan, and we will hear from someone from DCMS after the break. And I think that our ministry is following that same narrative, so to speak, that in culture we do want to stay close, and we, with a bit of imagination and effort, we should be able to find ways, such as the cultural accord and the fact that we want to put it on the negotiating table, that we will be talking about cultural relations with Europe. How it's going to pan out in the end, we do not know, but at worst, we will just have to redefine, as I said before, how we support those relations. But the government and everybody in the sector is committed to supporting them, I think.